Before I call the meeting to order, I just want to make a quick announcement that our friend Shane's grandson's funeral will be, well, on Saturday at 2 o'clock at the Rolling Hills Community Hall. For anybody who wants to show up, that's when it is. All right. Get on with the meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. The agenda, is there any additions or deletions? Carolyn?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Justin's moving the agenda. Vote. That's carried. Public hearing minutes from the last meeting. Keith is moving. Keith's moving the minutes from the last meeting. Any questions on them? Vote. Carried. Got 6.1, Carolyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bylaw 2022-17 speed limit. At the last council meeting, council directed administration by motion to bring back the speed limit bylaw to Township Road 122 to Range Road 63, and it describes where. And to move it from 80K to 60K, the recommended motion is all three readings of bylaw 2022-17.
Thank you. Go.
I'll move number one with the amended, I want to amend it to 50 instead of 60.
Questions on that? Keith?
Why are you suggesting 50 instead of 60?
I originally thought that it was 50. Like, I thought that we had changed it to 50. That's what I thought I was voting on last time, and it wasn't. It was 60. It just, that with those greenhouses and all the extra traffic that's there, if you make it 50, they're going to be doing 60 anyway. If you do 60, they're going to be doing 70. So I figured if we go to 50, that would be better.
Answer your question, you good with that? Any other questions on it? I agree, everybody knows that when you do you always do 10 over because you know you're safe, so. But, Keith?
That is gravel, right? Or is that oil?
That's oiled. We had discussed the two oiled areas going between the greenhouses and that. Okay. Great, any other questions? Vote. Carried. What do you want to move second? Richard's moving second. Vote. Carried. Dustin's moving to have third. Vote. Carried. Blaine's moving third. Vote. Carried. Got you. Okay, 6.2, Carolyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bylaw 2022-18 land use amendment for the southwest of 2283 west of the 4th. On page 22 is the background information and drawings to follow and the bylaw amendment. On page 22, it is in regards to George and Judith Russell and reclassifying 4.05 hectares, which is 10 acres, from Ag District 2 to Country Residential to CR2. And the recommended course of action is the council move first reading for bylaw 2022-18, and the public hearing will follow at a future.
Hey, Richard's moving up. Got to look. Richard's moving. Vote. Carried. 7.1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. July capital update, it's on page 27. The recommended motion, Mr. Chairman and council, is the council received the July 2022 capital budget update for information.
You, Terlin. Everybody read through it. Somebody want to make a motion? Keith's making a motion. Is there any comments or any questions? Seeing any? I'll ask for the vote. Carried. 8, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. July operating update. It's on page 33. There is information to follow and the AP listing. And the recommended motion is that council receive the July 2022 operating budget update for information.
Wait. Moving them? I'll move it. Do you have any questions? Floor's yours.
I guess my question is more of a informational one. I just was wondering, on page 44, the fire service agreement, the money that we pay to that, what does that get us? My own.
To the city of Medicine Hat.
Yeah.
So we have signed an agreement that they provide first response to, I think, is it 8 kilometers around the into the county, and then they do first response, and then when our folks show up, are able to, because we have a volunteer service, then they are released.
That was just more clarification for myself.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Not seeing any? I'll ask for the vote. Carried. 9, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is the CAO and administrative reports. It's on page 62. The recommended motion is council approve the CAO report as presented. One additional thing, Mr. Chairman and council, is that the fire ban will be put on as of tomorrow morning. And because of the hot, dry conditions, everything's hardening off right now. So just wanted to share that with you. And Jeffrey has the specifics on there. This will include recreational pits.
It will include.
It will include. Would you like him to just share?
You want to elaborate, Jeffrey?
Thank you. Yeah, so right now we're in a fire restriction, so going into a fire ban means that things such as incinerators, burning barrels, barbecues that use the old style briquettes, recreational campfires, and fires in designated camping and recreational areas are not permitted. But things such as household fireplaces, so if somebody wanted to use their fireplace, of course, anything that's propane or natural gas fueled, so sometimes they have those recreational fire pits that are propane fueled. Obviously your propane barbecue and wood pellet smokers are also permitted at this time. Or would be permitted, I guess, with the fire ban going into effect. That's what I should have said.
Okay, is there any other questions on the CAO report? Richard?
With the Dunmore Junction, the meeting at the end of August with AT, is that going to be with the regional manager, like Darren Davidson? And then will there be a deputy minister showing up or anything, or it's just with Darren to?
Yeah,
let
just
him
with
know?
Darren. Yeah, Darren and Jerry Lau.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you bet. We've had previous discussion, but now that the conceptual design has been approved by council, meet with him, and there was previous discussion about the extension of Third Ave. So to get that finalized and where we're going with that. And that, because the road is the vital infrastructure piece to begin that development.
Keith, you have a question?
Yeah, just a question about the peace officer. I noticed there's some increased patrols that, and I thought I read there was increased patrols around the wind, right there, around the wind turbine development between 41 and Eagle Butte. think we need some out of Jenner, some of that increased patrol out there. So just make a note of it.
Okay,
I can talk to you about that after.
that would be awesome.
Yeah, whatever they're called out there.
Okay, Blaine?
Just noticed we're still taking videos and stuff, which is great for the tourism thing. I was just kind of wondering where we were at with that, when we think that we'll have that done. And
So yeah, we're on, I guess the tourism video is humming along on schedule, which I'm pleased about. Basically, there was a long list of destinations, events, and attractions that we wanted to capture in the video. So the consultant has been out videoing different locations and sites and events. And so the videoing, the capture of the footage should wrap up just after the September long weekend. Because I think one of the last things that we want to capture is the Irvin 40-mile post rodeo. And then it'll go into production where we will start to edit the video. And a draft of the video will be sent to myself, and then I'll review it. And then basically should have, according to stay on plan, the idea would be to have the video presented to council for the first meeting of December. And then it would be able to start to utilize it. So right now we're still in the capturing of different events and different sites and locations.
it's great. I'm excited to see it. I think with all the new activities that have been going on in the county, it should look really good.
Yes.
Promote as well.
I was asking, we've added a couple of, I think, events to the original list. So the original budget was just under around $9,000. Might increase slightly because we did add a couple of extra things. So I wanted to capture the heritage event that just happened at the Dunmore Equestrian Society on the weekend to incorporate hopefully some Indigenous components to the video as well. So.
Yeah, I got one for Kim. I just had a couple questions from some ratepayers. The Grayburn Bridge, what's happening there? How are we coming along there, and kind of the timeline of when it's going to be done?
Yeah, thank you. So the Grayburn Bridge, we were, that project, the bridge deck is in place. Now they're just building the road structure. So we're thinking about 3 more weeks, I believe so. And then we're just looking at, we have some excess dirt. So we're just trying to figure out where to put that, and that'll be the cleanup. And that project came along really well. After we get the road work done, then they come in and then they do all the cutting. So right now, if you go down there, you see all the sides of the bridge, all the pillars are non-cut, so they're all above the bridge deck level. So then when they do all the sloping, then they cut that to match the slope at the 45. So it's actually just looks really nice and finished. Then that one will be, then they're moving on to the next project, which is over 7 persons. But yeah, it should be done. We were trying to get it done before harvest, but it looks like it's going to go just shortly after harvest.
Yeah, sounds good. I just had a few people wondering, hoping they were going to have it done before school started. Sounds like we'll be right close to that.
Anybody else have any questions?
What's happening with the naming of the park in Suffield? I see there's 2 letters in here.
Council made a motion to go forth with it. The individuals forwarded the 2 emails I included in the report, and it is there for your review and direct us.
I guess my question is there been any more? Just those 2?
And the cement work has been completed for the sign, so we're moving forward
ahead, yeah.
with the direction.
Keith and Richard.
Go ahead, Richard.
I just want, I just wanted to say, Public Works has done a fantastic job up there I was up there on the weekend. And, my goodness, that does not look like the same park. It is unbelievably nice. So, yeah, that's an attaboy and attagirl.
Keith?
I think the park has turned out really well. I've been there a few times and just gotta look and as far as the renaming of it, hey, like, we're just gonna go with it. I think the council made a decision and people don't, so if there's some people that don't like it, they can get involved in the community and be on the next project.
Yep. Comment there. Tim?
Just one thing that we've realized from doing this project is that when we hydroseeded, and this is just FYI because I know everybody has an interest in this, when we hydroseeded, by the time we've paid for the additional water and the additional manpower, it's basically a wash with putting down sod. Yeah, I didn't look at it that way, but operationally, when you balance it out, it works out to about the same. Because you have additional chemicals, they do weed picking instead of spraying, and it's just something that we didn't realize until after the project, and when it all said and done, it'll be about the same. And sod catch is better, but it's something that we didn't, you look at the initial price, but when you endure the project for till it's all set, it works out the same. So
That's good to know. Any other questions or comments? That's it. You move though. Yeah. Okay. Blaine move the CAO report. Ask for the vote. Carried. Okay, or even counselor report. The only thing I have to add to mine is parade was good, but I learned one thing: don't take an old timer that runs over all the steaming piles with your Mustang when you're going to a parade. You actually swerve for them, like away from them, not for them. It went pretty good. It was a good day. A lot of people they were screaming out. Every one of us in the car got their name, even the driver got their name screamed out. So it was good to be recognized with everybody out there. There was a couple for the driver. So it was good. Chris Zemmer was in there because the mayor was on holidays, so, and he even got a couple of cheers for his name, so he was pretty excited about that. As a fill-in, he was proud. Great, we'll start with Dustin.
I have absolutely nothing to report.
That makes it short. Keith?
I don't have anything really to report either. I was gonna try and make the rodeo, but it didn't happen, so.
Robin?
Not a lot to report. I did have a couple of calls with regards to cats. And so I guess use this time just to throw a question your way and we can either follow up with it later on. I know in the past we had done or worked with was it the capture, neuter and release program? The inquiry that I had was a little bit less focused on areas like Irvin or Softfield or anything like that, but more specific to maybe a job business that maybe has 20 or 30 cats running around, or a farm site that might have 30 or 50 cats running around. When there's situations like that come up, is there something that the county can, whether we can forward them on to services that can help them with that, or how does one respond to something like that? A good phone call, and I just told her I would follow up and see what they do.
So when we did it last year, there was individuals that took advantage of the program that were outside of the hamlet. So there was those individuals that took part in it. I believe that we're looking at doing it this fall again as well in the other areas that we did not do previously. And it was an amazing program, and we can't force people to participate in it, but we can offer it. And I know as a resident of the Hamlet of Irvine, instead of having 20 cats that were not well go through my yard every day, maybe now I have one. And it was really sad to see all of the kittens and cats that were diseased, malnourished. It was just awful. And so it's not a way for any animal to live. And so it was quite an excellent program that brought tremendous value. And I believe Jeffrey can further it, but I believe this fall we're looking at Dunmore and perhaps a partnership with Redcliffe.
Yes, our staff has reached out to the organization again, and so we were kind of, based on the inquiries and the comments that our peace officer had received, we were targeting perhaps having it in Dunmore, and then the other outlying hamlets like Irvine, Suffield, Walsh that we participated with in the last year. Certainly if there was a need, they could certainly bring their cats again to Dunmore. Certainly anybody from in Cypress County could bring their, or we could coordinate those efforts. And if it was a situation where we had to go, maybe on a one-time occasion, just specific while the organization was here and go to, say, Irvine, for example, we could try to make those arrangements. One of the problems that we're having though is they've got some issues on their end in terms of the participants and the staff and the people that they had and all their volunteers. And so we're just waiting to hear back from them. But if possible, then we would redo the program again, at least in September for whatever we can accomplish. So.
The majority of the people that participate in this program are volunteers. The majority of them are volunteers. We're very grateful for their service.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, also pretty slow in my neck of the woods. Just had a few calls on the road maintenance and bridges, and one concern about a fellow wanting to haul things to the dump. So we're getting that organized, and yeah, pretty slow.
He told me I couldn't read all this. And I go, well, get over it. I've got to make a comment. A couple of weeks ago, we were down on the Saskatchewan side of the Cypress Hills, about 6 kilometers out of the park. And the place that we were at, the private resident, they use Skynet, or is it Skylink? I'm not quite sure which one it is. Starlink. It was unbelievably good. There was probably 6 couples out there, and it didn't matter how many people got on, and never dropped the service or anything. So I know in some of our other discussions, we had talked about how council can help the people that are a long ways from a hamlet, how we can help them with a service. And I think, Stephen, you had looked into that a little bit, but it was pretty awesome, okay? So just to give you a heads up on that. I've been helping Jody from the Dunmore Community Association coordinate some of the trades. There's site work being done today, along with the prepping of the gravel base. On Monday, the concrete pad for the skating rink will be poured, and some of the sidewalks. So it's looking pretty good. I don't know, Leslie Ann, can you bring up that picture of that? So the structure is up and the roof is on, and they're leaving the west wall and the south wall off until the concrete is poured. It just makes it easier for everybody to work. So it's going to be amazing for Dunmore. And the next step after the concrete is poured is to get the rink boards up that was donated by Rick Wall's company, and should be good for ready for the fall. One of the phone calls, or I've had numerous phone calls. I also am a director of the West Side Water Co-op, and I've been involved in some discussions about the physical location of that new greenhouse. That's the one that's going to go on Range Road 55/13th Avenue and just north of Township Road 120. It sounds like the new owner was not made aware of the location of the water co-op line. He didn't ask, but the previous owner didn't say anything either. So I guess I'm going to compliment staff because your staff is working with that owner and also with the West Side Water Co-op to make things happen and still keep the water line accessible and intact. And on Saturday, the 6th, I joined Michelle for the opening ceremonies at the Dunmore Equestrian Center. They had a 3-day event there called the Heritage Gather, and Michelle and I represented Cypress County. I probably took away some of your thunder there, but yeah, it was pretty darn good. Actually, we stayed for a few hours and watched what we could. And yeah, on parade day, I had the honor of driving around the 3 dignitaries, and pretty hard to avoid stuff on the road when there's a dozen horses in front of your vehicle. I just could only do so much weaving, So, and every once in a while, when they weren't waving enough, I'd kind of tap on the brakes a little bit, send them forward, and they will do a little more waving. So, it was great. Anyway, yeah, things are good in Cypress County.
I signed some checks for Cypress View, had a Cypress View meeting, MPC meeting. Attended the Heritage Gather with Richard, and I ended up staying for most of the day. It was a great event. I was also in 7 Persons on whatever day that was and saw the new Wildland Fire Unit, which is an amazing thing. And I have to give credit to staff. I have had some complaints in my area they were changing a culvert in the Township Road 160, and the traffic was rerouted around road allowance. And people were complaining about that and saying, well, why wouldn't they reroute them through Schuler? And I just talked to him today and made sure I was right, because what I told them was that, well, that road allowance was probably on the list to be upgraded anyway, and they just killed 2 birds with 1 stone. So I think that's awesome. And today, yeah, I think that's about it.
Lloyd?
I attended the Planning Commission meeting the other day. I've been kind of busy with phone calls on the Eagle Butte. And I see that the county is fixing the worst part up there by the little plume, which is good, thanks. And I had a call about a culvert on the Jackpot, and Leslie Ann has handled that quite well for me. Because it's not our road, but the 2 ranchers are really concerned about it because it's flooding out their hayfield. Anyways, I had a long conversation the other day with tax rate payer about our taxes, our spending. Hopefully calmed him down. Other than that, it's been good. What I was wondering about with if we would make a motion to donate $500 to the Children's Hospital over what happened here the other day, and name it in the young guy's name as a donation.
In that motion, like that idea. Anything else? Good. Any questions or comments on the reports? I need to move the report. Michelle's moving the reports. Vote. Carried. Lloyd, did you want to make that motion you just?
I do. I would like to make the motion that we donate $500 to the Children's Hospital in the name of the young lad, the 15-month baby there. Yeah,
Shane's grandson.
right.
Life of me, I can't think of his name. Jared. Any questions on that? Vote. That's carried. Okay, we're gonna take a 2-minute break here and then we'll get into our delegation.
It's just here.
Okay, everybody's back. I'll call the meeting back to order. And our delegation is here, so I will give you the floor.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Teresa Hardiker. I'm the Executive Director of Verge Economic Development, and as that means to you, I'm your Economic Development Officer. Today I'm joined by our summer students, so I've got Jessica and Jade with me. We're going to go over our BAWC grant that we've received, and then the girls have been doing some work, so they're just going to give an update on some of the information that they've discovered so far. So because I haven't been here for some time, I just wanted to do a couple of things that we've updated and we've been working on over the last few months. So I did an update on an impact study for the renewable energy, and we've also updated the agricultural asset map that we have developed for the counties of Cypress and the county of 40 Mile. I've been doing a collaborative project that with Apex, and that's an Innovators to Watch project. We've been doing videos on several different innovative companies within the county. The latest one that we've developed, and it's just waiting to be voiced over, is Neubauer Farms, and then we were able to go out and do some video at the project at Irvine School as well. So I'm excited for those. I think there's about 6, and we've got those up on our website if anybody's interested in taking a look. The other thing that I have been doing is sitting at the table for the Rural Economic Development Roundtable that we've been doing with Minister Horner. Karina actually and myself were able to go to Lethbridge, I think about 3 weeks ago. And it was quite an interesting opportunity to sit around and have our voices heard within that area. It was great that Karina was able to come along with me, because not only did we have it from an economic development standpoint, but we were able to talk a little bit about community capacity. As you know, they've been moving forward through the government of Alberta, looking at doing designation into the area and labor attraction tools and how that will work. So it was a good opportunity for us to have our voices heard, that sometimes in rural, it's very problematic sometimes in order to attract the labor, and some of the things that we can do in order to overcome those obstacles. And then the last thing that you will find, and it's available on your Cypress County website, as well as the investment attraction videos that we did for each of the 3 stakeholder areas. So those are all available as well. I've got my clicker. There we go. So some of you were around during our brood project that we did in 2019. This is just an overview of some of the information that we finished up with in 2019. As you know, we immediately went into a bit of a thing called COVID, and there was some changes. There was still some work that was done along the brood project for the business retention, expansion, and workforce development. I sometimes forget to explain all of my acronyms, but as an extension of that, we are moving into looking at opportunities or major economic activities that are happening within our corner of the province. Those are broken down for Cypress County as to agricultural, tourism. The Suffield military base, of course, is a big piece, and there's been a resurgence of the oil and gas production that's happening as well. Through the brood project locally, there is some information that we had heard. Although the project was broken down into 40 Mile and the town of Bow Island, the city of Medicine Hat, and Cypress County, I had received a data dump of all the raw data, so I was able to develop local specialized numbers that we're able to do the basis of our work moving forward. So 33% of residents identified with the agricultural sector, probably not a big surprise to any of you. 86% of those companies felt at that time within the next 2 years their products and services would increase. 20% of the respondents increased their labor force for new full-time positions being created. As you know, there's now still that, and I'm going to probably guess that there's even a larger number that are looking for full-time workers with the Great Resign, I think is what they've called it, and opportunities that have been opening up in that full-time positions. 40% of companies anticipate the number of employees would increase in management, technical, and apprentice trades. Retention was indicated in the labor category as being an issue, still is. Lack of applicants and work experience was noted as being a major barrier to hiring and retention, again, still is. 86% answered that in the past 12 months, they had provided training and opportunities for their staff. 14% indicated that they have 11 to 50% of employees that travel more than 50 kilometers to work. And then 84% plan to invest in new tech or equipment within the next 3 years. So that leads us into what we have been working on, and again, very specific to Cypress County and the County of 40 Mile. The town of City of Medicine Hat is not included within this project. I took information from the Brood project, and we were able to develop building agricultural workforce capacity in Southeast Alberta, so BAWC. This project is been funded through FCSS at both 40 Mile and Cypress County, and we received money through the LMP grant through the Government of Alberta. So this is how we're funding this project. The Brood report emphasized a shortage of labor within Southeast Alberta. From that, we are implicating projects under the themes of keeping youth and young families in rural Alberta and how to expand their experience once they're here. That there's a lack of soft skills training programs that would address skills gap within the agricultural sector. A lack of retention and training programs. A lot of the times the employees are not able to travel to centers of influence that they would be able to receive their training. So we're trying to look at ways that we would be able to bring the training to them. Succession planning and opportunities in order to fill those labor shortages within rural Alberta. So all of the information that we were able to find from the Brood, we're just taking that and expanding on it and doing it specifically for the agricultural workforce. So some of the deliverables that we'll be looking at after we're done our report will be labor market needs assessment. I'm sure that we're all able to understand that with the changing opportunities that came with COVID, how we're going to be able to fill some of those gaps. And the girls will talk about that in just a few minutes. We're going to be doing some agricultural occupational profiles. Those are going to be very specific to some of the information that the girls have been able to find for us. And then we're going to do printed and online agricultural profiles and use those as an investment labor force attraction tool in order to bring them into our area. We're going to be doing some agricultural career fairs. This is probably where we'll be using FCSS the most. In Karina, it's already done a couple of them. What are some of the best practices? What are from an employer and an employee standpoint, and how we can better train and assess to be able to do that? And then the biggest part of our dollars is going to be an agricultural media campaign. And that will be done mostly outside of our area because it is meant to be an attraction to coming to our area. And we've budgeted roughly about 45% that will be doing that. I should probably chime in here that I do have a focus group that we've been working with that comes from business owners from our area. For Cypress County, we've been using Amy from the training, Safety Buzz, sorry, I'm having a brain freeze there. And Chris Deering is also sitting on our board for us. And then we're also doing a collaborative partnership with the Community Foundation. So we've been helping to gather some of the information that they were wanting for their vital signs report, just to make sure that we're trying to close off a lot of the gaps and be working most collaboratively. Not only just to be able to stay in our own lanes, but to be able to build the highway that we're hoping to do moving forward and how we better assess our work. So some of the things that we've been doing is we've done a questionnaire and a development. We've had an advisory group meeting. We've got another one planned for in the fall. And then the agricultural marketing development is another piece that we've been started at. Okay, girls.
So I'm Jess. I'm from Foremost. I'm a summer student that works under Karina at FCSS. Some of the things that we've done with Teresa and Verge is that we understand that, of course, we want people to come down and work, but we need social infrastructure to keep them down here. So we have created a survey that will ask employees and citizens of Cypress County when we send it out and County of 40 Mile, what they would like to see in our community. So things like childcare, housing, education, stuff like that, which Teresa will send that out later, I assume. So yeah, we've done that. We've surveyed a lot of youth lately. We did the Bow Island Days surveying in Bow Island, obviously, and then Youth in Foremost. So that's about where we're at. We have a lot of businesses and lists of businesses that we need to get to by the end of summer. So yeah, that's about where we're at, and we're excited to see some of the results that come from that, and then having Teresa be able to go from there and work after that to get what they want in the communities.
And then I'm Jade, also a summer student with FCSS. So before we did the survey, we also looked on this at different job profiles, and we took those profiles as we went into our job search for looking at vacant jobs in the County of 40 Mile and Cypress County. So the jobs that we found, we stuck mostly with like agriculture jobs. So a lot of them are only seasonal, but we found a few that also can start as seasonal and will go to full-time jobs. And then in terms of the career fairs, we had a select recruiting job fair. We had about 7 people show up, and we're still waiting to see how many were hired from the 7. And then this coming Friday, we have the Atlantic Job Fair for the sugar beet harvest, where some of those positions will start as seasonal and could also time position.
Yeah, we found about over 80 jobs. About half of them are hands-on farming jobs, or ag jobs, I should say. And then the other half are the connections. So things like healthcare that we understand that we need to continue with ag, with all the jobs that are created, and things that they need as employees. And then just recently we created a new survey for employers. That one's more of the economic side of it, to see retention in employees, training employees, and such like that, and stuff like that, sorry. And we haven't been able to survey anybody yet, but that was just created about last week. So we're still in the draft phases of that one. everything.
Okay, so just to summarize, what we've been doing is looking at community capacity, and that's basically where the girls have been focusing. There's obtainable housing, there's childcare, there's education, there's secondary education. If you're coming to have a job, what can your spouse or your partner do that would work within the same area? What can your children do? Where is there the opportunities? So they have taken quite a bit of time this summer, and they've been able to reach out to youth, employers, employees, to be able to ask them just on the grounds what their feeling is. In the fall, we will be hiring a consultant group that will be doing a deep dive with the employees and the employers. We'll be reaching out to the job seekers as well as those that are looking at hiring. There's also a wonderful opportunity to align ourselves with a lot of the higher tech that's coming into the area. What that looks like as far as how it's going to affect agriculture. Where are we going? How are we going to develop and insert? And what are the companies that we're looking to bring into the area? So I think that's pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions or concerns with things that they've heard today? Any questions for me overall? I haven't exactly been, my apologies. COVID, health issues. I could have come in.
Does anybody
you
have
wanna-
any questions?
Add anything, Richard, at all, or?
Well, I think with some of the discussions that we had before, and also when we have our Verge meeting, the mayors have told us that the housing is one of the biggest issues, even if people would come to the community to live and be employed, they can't find housing, can't find any kind of accommodation. So I don't know what the answer is on that. I guess there's numerous ways of assist, but that's way over my head how that would work, because you have to be cautious of any repercussions of how much a municipality gets involved. So, but I think it's great that the work is being done to say, here's the jobs. They're like, the work is here. There's a demand, and it's documented. So yeah, that's the good part.
Sorry, I should probably add that I met with Terrelyn and Jeffrey probably about 3 weeks ago now. One of the things that we did talk about at length is having the obtainable housing and how we would be able to put it into the hamlets and have those still within reach of the center of influences that people would be looking for their jobs. So I've actually reached out to a provincial group that's going to do a study in Cypress County. They work out of Red Deer, and we'll be able to have a study that's done on obtainable housing, where would be the best areas, what would be some of the things that we'd be able to do to overcome. So we're going to start with Cypress County, and then after that, I think what we're going to do is move into the county of 40 Miles. So we'll have an opportunity to be able to do it for the full stakeholder area. But I guess I forgot to update that on my slides, so I'm glad you brought that up.
That's a good one, because there is funding out there for that, is there not? Yeah, just got to get it in the right place.
So it'll be a consultant group that will be doing it much the same. So we'll be running reports simultaneously. At the end, we'll have one that will be the labor attraction through the BAWC, and then one that will be through the obtainable housing reports and groups that they do. So.
Anybody else have anything?
And Mr. Chairman, so we shared, like I shared with Teresa about council's strategic plan, and that was part of the strategic plan was obtainable housing in hamlets. Our desire to increase capacity for the community as well.
Well, excellent. That was a good presentation. Ladies, you did very well with it. We could tell you were a little nervous there, but it's all good. No, you did good with it. Thanks for coming in. Have a great day. All right. Yep. Sure. Didn't do anything.
I know I didn't, but it's something upcoming. So in October on the 20th and 21st, the Milk River Watershed is doing their strategic planning in Waterton. I'm unable to attend. I don't know if it's beneficial for us to attend it or not, but if there's someone that's interested in going,
Who's your alternate, or did you have?
I don't know if there is one. 20th and 21st, and they have to know by September 9th. They have a block of rooms booked for it, so we're not really a voting member on it, so that's kind of where I asked the question if it's worth our participation or not, but if someone is interested, I guess.
Okay. Thank you. That's going to take precedence. Yeah. Okay, we'll look into that. We'll go from there. Thank you, Dustin. What's that? Richard's, you're the alternate.
Of course.
I was going to say take some colored balls so you can find them in the snow. But 11.1, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Disaster recovery fees collection. As you all know, we had a wind event, F2 tornado in our neck of the woods, and on July 18th. And administration is recommending to council to waive the collection of development application fees and municipal address sign fees associated with the wind event as collected as per the master rates bylaw. And the areas that were identified as critically affected, so the map you saw that was red, and then the secondary was in yellow. So we're recommending to waive those fees for those folks.
Michelle?
I think this is a good idea because they're gonna rebuild and they're gonna need development permits, and they had them the first time and it's not their fault. So I think this is a great idea and I will move it.
Any other comments or questions on it? Not seeing any? Ask for the vote. Carried. 12.1, Terlin.
Dunmore Equestrian Center water main extension and road upgrade. The recommended motion that council accept a low bid submitted by White Fox, excluding GST, and proceed with the 300 millimeter waterline main extension and roadway upgrade along Second Ave to service the Dunmore Equestrian Center with an additional funds of $293,764 coming from the water and sewer reserve. And there is background information in regards to it. On page 87 is the drawing. And if you have any questions, our Director of Public Works would love to answer them.
Okay. Richard?
I will make that motion just as it's recommended. I think it's great that we're moving forward on it. And based on the fact that we know we need a loop for our future water line, this just falls into place. So if we're going to do it, let's do it right. So.
Wayne?
Yeah, I understand the project and everything. I was just maybe asking for a little more clarification between that and the alternate motion of the 410. I read that 2 or 3 times last night, and I guess I just either had a brain fart or I couldn't figure out the difference.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. So the initial direction from council was to get water to the equestrian center and build up the road access. After evaluating the project, we looked at, the other project that was approved by council was doing a study for water flows for Dunmore. So this kind of marries the two, and it allows us for future expansion. So right now, if we put a 4-inch line or 2-inch line, whatever the case is, so say we do a 2-inch line, then we'll be able to service the current needs of the equestrian society, current needs. Now, if we put the other line in, it allows for not only future needs of the equestrian, so if they want to build a building, well, that 2-inch line is going to be insufficient. So we'd have to rip that up anyway and redo it. But if we also wanted to loop across the highway to increase, to marry the two systems, so we actually have on at the two clear wells aren't tied together. We have two systems in Dunmore, one on this side, one on that side, so they're not connected. So this project in the future will allow the connection, so then we'll have fire flow capacity. So this looks at that fire flow capacity study that we had done in 2019, and first step, it allows us to, from that point, we'll put a little, after the hydrant, we'll have a little bit of a spud line where we'll be able to connect, and then that will be able to bore underneath the highway to go up all the way up to the Eagle Ridge Reservoir, Dunmore Junction, and also Gasoline Alley. So it basically is our first step for that east side development, either side of the highway. And the only reason why we brought it forward, because if we don't do this, which is fine, we put in a 2-inch line and then we build a road on top, and then later on when we want to do something, well, we got to wreck the road to upgrade the water service. So we just wanted to make sure that it would, that we're looking at all possibilities moving forward.
Robin?
I like the idea, and I guess what I'm wondering is what would it take to complete that tie-in sooner, to achieve the water flow sooner? Like I get staging things out, but this sounds like one of those ones, like, let's just get it done.
To the chair. The others was in the millions. So and that is something we can bring back. I don't remember exactly. I was just talking with Doran about it this morning. It was, yeah, 750 on the highway, and it was like 2 point to go all the way up and tie it into the clear well. But then that sets us up for not only Wild subdivision, but also for Eagle Ridge and anything we would go further off.
Yeah,
and this is just,
it's not going to get cheaper.
It's not going to get cheaper.
Right, it's going to get a lot more expensive. I know, like, we've talked about water and, a lot of these things for 5 years now. And I would so love to see, let's just get that infrastructure stuff done. If we want to, run lines down to the junction or whatever later, great. But let's get something significant on the infrastructure side, like finished up on this water thing. I'd love to see that.
Through the chair, this is, the direction's been noted. We can bring that back for 2023 budget and talk about that. This was a desire of to do the road was for this year. But yeah, we could definitely bring back all those different options for 2023.
I don't know, it needs to be in the budget, that's.
And possible funding that for it as well.
Okay, any other questions on it? Keith?
So the line goes as far as the road then?
It actually just goes slightly past so that it's, we'll put the hydrant at the end of the road there. We do a little bit of a bulb so that's a turnaround. And then we'll have, past the hydrant, just have a little bit of a basically one stick. And from that point, that'll be the angle where it'll angle off under the highway.
Okay. So the road doesn't actually, it's a dead end?
It's a dead end road with like a cul-de-sac road currently. I think in future, because we don't know what the intentions are of the landholder. They've had some different development conversations, but we don't know how that parcel is going to be broken up.
We looked at tying in on 41. That was one of the things we investigated, and that intersection alone would be $1 million. Tying to 40. So that's why we have the right of way for the road, but we don't. That's why we're putting a bulb, because we can't tie in.
At some point down the road, will you tie into the 41?
Depends on the developer.
Kind of makes sense.
It depends on the developer, and also too with the rail line there and the crossing, 41 and 1. There's development issues.
Okay.
There.
You don't really have a lot of room there either, do you?
But we do have the right of way through the middle of that parcel. But at this time, there's no, the Dunmore Equestrian Center is the end of the development, and then see what the future holds.
So the starting of this project for that, is this going to be levied now for future, or we're just taking the whole cost of this? 'Cause we're starting a water line into cabins there for development for but if they sell on the south side of that, they could tie into that water line.
We'd have to give permission, and that would be part of the development agreement.
And we could levy that cost of that at that point in time. As long as we can recuperate in the future. Yep.
But we own the infrastructure. So why would we need permission from cabins to tie into it?
No, they
No,
would.
they would.
They would need.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
They would need permission.
Other
Yeah.
way around.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I was like, what do you mean they would need to, we would get permission? But yes,
It would be part of the development
yeah,
agreement.
ultimately, we're running our infrastructure into an area that has potential development whenever, but making sure that we have the right size so that we can scale up.
Richard?
And one of the other things, Keith, is the fact that, I mean, someday we're hoping that the Equestrian Center will find some grant money and be able to build. They would not be able to build, they wouldn't get a building permit from Cypress County without having a water source. And so this means that we're actually ahead of the game. And if they get some grant money down the road, we have this in place. It's not something that would take us 5 or 6 months to do. So, and yeah, I mean, to build undersize and then rip up that road, we would look terrible.
Jeffrey?
Thank you. I just want to remind council the purpose of an offsite levy, and that is the county puts the infrastructure in up front. As the lots and development come after the fact, developer or the lot owner ends up paying the offsite levy to the county to help the county recover costs for the original upfront costs of the infrastructure. So as Tara Lynn alluded, as that area develops, it would be the developer's responsibility to continue to extend Second Avenue further east towards Highway 41 at their expense as part of the development agreement. And as lots sell and as developers come along, we recover our costs for the upfront infrastructure.
Exactly, and the purpose of it is so there's no development on the backs of other taxpayers.
I think that's what we're all alluding to there, making sure. Any other questions or comments on it? They're all good questions today. Who made the motion? Did I get it? Richard did. Okay, Richard made the motion to accept as recommended. Vote. Carried. 11.3, Tara Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resident tax penalty request. This morning, the tax penalty of $50.85 was paid for, so therefore this needs no further discussion.
11.4, Tara Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Admin Policy 3, Risk Management. On page 100, The recommended motion is council approve admin 3, risk management policy as presented. There is subsequent background information for 100 to 102, and then the policy is to follow on 103. Is there any questions?
You live over there, Lloyd? You're all choked up about making this motion, or what? No, he's screwed. Richard?
I've looked over other kinds of information like that through the years of risk assessment and very well written. It was clear. So, yeah, I have no problem working.
Making the motion. Well, you made the motion while you were coughing. Lloyd's making a motion on the risk management. Any other questions on it? All right, vote. Carried. We need to go in closed. Okay. We won't be very long in closed if you. Robin's making the motion to go in closed. Vote. Carried. 13.1, Tarlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So last week, myself and a couple of my team, we met with the Department of National Defense and to talk about water and let's back up.
Oh.
Take the chicken coop.
build the water line from the water pump off the South Saskatchewan River north to CFB Suffield to participate at a 25% interest at a maximum of $4 million.
Okay. Everybody's good? I'll ask for the vote. That's carried. All right, here you go. Move $4 million. Listen. All right, we don't have any more for today. That's it. All right, meeting's adjourned. What's that?